Good morning. We are standing on top of the world. This is a favorite place of mine with rock all around, and we just thought it'd be a great place to film with a good view and stuff. So
it is beautiful, and
and it's a beautiful morning,
and it's not terribly hard to get to. You gotta do a little,
a little careful
hiking, but no climbing.
And it's a beautiful morning, a little bit of an ease after the long weekend. And speaking of not long weekend, it felt like a long weekend.
But
it wasn't.
Because we get it confused with Canada Day weekend, so it feels like these two kind of mesh together.
Right.
But it was totally separate, so we actually have had like two holiday kind of weekends.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
And the reason this was a holiday to me was because of Westside Days. And this was my first time at Westside Days.
Welcome to Kelowna.
Yeah, thank you. 2.5 years, and this is my first time. But I was at a family reunion last year, and the year before, there was something else that I couldn't make it, and so this is my first time being able to be there. And not only could I go, but I could volunteer.
Yeah.
It was so great because this year, Jeff Bjorgen from Emmanuel Church was the volunteer coordinator. So when I heard that, I said, okay, how can we help? And so some of us from Lakeview volunteered, and I got to volunteer at the parade.
Yeah.
And so it was really neat to be there at one of the barricades and watch the different things go through, and then I got to help with parking at the Memorial Park.
Yeah.
And you know what I just really enjoyed was so many people said thank you for volunteering. They just really appreciated that we were helping make it run, and so I just felt really appreciated and just part of the community. And
we forget that like all these events we have this expectation of, well, this should happen and that should happen and this celebration, and then we don't realize like it takes volunteers to do all of that. Right? Like whether it's stuff in our church or whether it's stuff in our community, it takes a lot of time and energy to put all that together and to help people keep it focused and organized and keep things moving and information and so thank you to Jeff and his whole crew and the fact that we were able to just kind of join in,
be a part of it.
I think that was awesome.
Yeah, and the city was grateful for all, like they were overwhelmed with volunteers this year compared to what they've had, and
that's awesome.
And it was really good, and part of Westside Days is, as we've been saying on Coffee Talk for several weeks leading up, and we even filmed at Memorial Park, and last week you saw the stage. We were on the stage and watching the stage, being a part of that for our morning service, our celebration, our community celebration, where I think it was 7 churches from the west side.
Yeah,
somebody said that came together and did that service together. So it was really, really good.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to be there, but like I was able to view it online, and the coordination and just that seamless thought that kind of went through between songs and the passage that was picked, right? Like that that was awesome to be able to share. Like it wasn't about one person. It wasn't about one.
No.
The only person it was about Jesus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And his body. And I loved that was the focus and reflection, and there was a reminder there to say, like we are the church because of what Christ has done in us, and I love that. It was beautiful.
Yeah, no, and it was great because it was about, the theme was the church is not a building, and we all have different buildings that we meet in generally as congregations, but we're all the church. The body of Jesus, and coming together there and just talking about how this is the church, us, meeting. And so that was really, really neat. Yeah. So, no, it was a great weekend. And just a reminder, what you just said, it's online. You can go and see it. There's a link sent in our email from last week, so if you didn't see that link, you can look just under the picture of the community. There's click here, and you can watch that service.
Or if you're on Facebook, find Potter's House Church.
Yeah, because it's through Potter's House.
And they will have their link there, and it's just part of their history that there was a live service event.
Yeah, and even if you don't have Facebook, you can
You can still view it,
It'll
even
say,
if you don't have Facebook.
log in, and then you just press the X to
Yeah.
lower that window, and then you can see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you don't get those weekly emails and you want that, let us know. But it's all in there. So yeah, some good things that we
It was a great
look back
weekend.
on. Yeah.
Just going back, one of the things for us all throughout these years of being in West Kelowna has always been the parade. Like we've always kind of had little kids with us, right?
Yeah.
Either our own or just friends with us, and the parade is always just kind of that big highlight.
Oh, yeah.
And I always enjoyed that too. So thank you for volunteering.
Yeah. No, it was fun. So yeah, that was kind of this past weekend. Yeah. So that's kind of looking back
Yeah.
at last weekend. Looking forward, we're gonna finish Mark, the
Yeah.
book of Mark, all the way through on Sunday.
Yeah.
This will be our last look at it. We'll never talk about Jesus again.
Maybe. Yeah, like
we always talk about Jesus, but
we've been in this book for quite a while, but
Yeah.
yet we've kind of taken these little side steps for
Yeah.
Christmas, Easter, other things,
Yeah.
and yet to be able to recall a lot of the stuff that we've talked about and worked through, and like we've been saying, and like you're going to say, and like we plaster all over the wall, it's just a book about who do you say Jesus is?
Yep.
Is he the King? Is he the Savior? Is he the triumphant whatever? Right? Like we need to wrestle with that, and I think that's where my brain goes when I think of even just the last however long year
Yeah.
or so that we've been studying this, and it's a beautiful book, and
Yeah.
I'm so thankful. Even as I think about it, I'm so thankful for the way that was even preserved, right? Like, could you imagine if we didn't have that?
Yeah.
We wouldn't necessarily have a lot of the other gospels and all of those things, because this was foundational for the church at that time. And yeah, I'm so thankful for this book.
Yeah, oh, me too. I mean, there's so much in the book. Like Jesus was just, I mean, at the end of, I think John, he says if everything that Jesus did and said
Yeah.
was written down, there wouldn't be enough,
There wouldn't be enough parchment on the earth. The
Exactly.
whole world couldn't contain it.
Yeah, so Jesus is just, but we've kind of really honed in on this. Who do you say I am? And I say this often, but the reason that's important, I read a book years ago, and I didn't quite understand why that question was so important. But the reason that question is so important, who do you say I am, is because your answer to that will impact how you live. So if you think that Jesus is just a man, then you'll take some of what he said and leave some of what he said. And a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
If you think he was some crazy guy who said he was God but wasn't,
Right.
well, then you can just reject him and leave him out completely. But if you say he is king, like Mark presents him, you say that he is king who has authority over demons, the spiritual world. He has authority over all the natural thing, over sickness and death, over the powers, over the kings of this earth. Then you gotta either get in line with what he said, become a part of his kingdom, and that's just accepting him, asking him to forgive you and to lead your life, to be your king, or you gotta keep on thinking that that's a different thing, and it doesn't affect you, and I'm convinced that getting in line with Jesus is reality. That's ultimate reality, and so then he starts to change our lives. And so who do you say he is so important, and that's why we keep on coming back to that question. Who do you say I am? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And like even those times where you find yourself in a hospital room in something like that, you have to wrestle with who Jesus is in that moment. Right?
Yeah.
Because if he is Lord of life and he conquered sin and death, then actually it calls us not just to say, okay, you are Lord of everything, but then it says, okay, now trust me. Because if I am Lord, okay, but you gotta trust me.
I got it all under control.
So there's a part two to that question as well. Who do you say I am? Great, wonderful. Peter, you answered the question. Now you have to follow me. Peter, you have to trust me. You have to when the guards have come to arrest me, what are you going to do in that moment,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what makes it amazing too, because there's a part 2
Yeah.
to all of that as well.
You just following up on that. So you mentioned that a hospital bed, but at a meeting,
Yeah.
I wanted this to go a certain way. It's not going the way I wanted. Do I try to manipulate it into the way I want it? Or do I trust the Lord? And that's a balance that's hard to,
Yeah.
but in that moment, He's Lord, right?
Yeah.
So we lovingly obey Him in what He calls us to do,
Yeah.
but it's always like He always is love, right? So we can't, just say that the person in front of us that is annoying us or whatever is, and
Yeah.
forget them. No, He loved that person, right? So in every moment,
Yeah.
who do you say I am is really important.
Parenting is huge, right?
Yeah.
Who do you say I am?
Yeah.
Are you ready to even hand your children over to me
Mhm.
and trust me with them, right?
Yeah.
Like all of those things,
Yeah.
parenting and
Exactly.
being a family and being a citizen and being, part of our church and being, a friend. Like,
And it doesn't mean we will enjoy everything He leads us into and through, because look at Jesus. Jesus trusted the Father, and He went through agony.
yeah.
But the good thing about that is He went through alone, so that we never will have to go alone. But yeah, it's such an amazing and deep question when you really, really wrestle with some of these things. So yeah, so we're going to end that series on Sunday, and then the next week we'll start a shorter series, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you were wondering about how are we going to go through all these long, we'll do some short ones.
Jump into the deep end again.
And then drama camp will be coming up, and so lots of cool stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on right now. Yeah. Anything else you want to share?
I'm feeling very awkward with my hands because I feel like I should be holding coffee.
Yeah.
But I left it right down there.
Yeah.
30 feet that way. And
Yeah.
so, next time.
There's quite the drop off here, so you don't want to go and get it that way.
We'll get it on camera.
Well, we hope you are enjoying our Okanagan summer. As always, it's been sunny and hot, and today is a little bit of a reprieve, so we enjoy that too. We are just so thankful that we get to be following Jesus together, and look forward to seeing you on Sunday and connecting whenever we're all around together. Hope you have a great week. We're praying for you. God bless.